can you please call the hearing number for the record?
This is Commission hearing number 246 of Wednesday, 19 January 2022, in case 450 Jeffrey Francis, case 113 Jocelyn Anakua, and case 272 Nanette Espawon.
Thank you. Despite my announcement yesterday, we are going to be in public session for part of this complaint, then we'll move into closed session. Can you please call the complainant?
Ms. Jocelyn Anakua.
I, Jocelyn Anakua Schmidt, do swear that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Thank you, Mrs. Anakura Smith, for appearing before the Commission today. Thank you for also appearing in open session. So at some point during your evidence today, you would like to move into closed session. Just let us know when you're ready to do that. Thank you for coming today. We appreciate you coming and presenting your complaint before us. Please take your time in setting out your complaint. And if you need to adjourn at any time, let us know, and we're happy to accommodate you. But the floor is yours. So thank you for coming.
Thank you very much, everybody, Madam Commissioner, and all the members on the team, my investigating officer. I thank you for giving me the possibility to express what I witnessed, what was imposed on me. Thank you very much. I had a very big operation, 2020. I recovered. At one time I was only 38 kilos, but I believed in myself. Doctors cannot help you if you don't yourself believe in yourself. I believed in myself because one thing I had not witnessed, to see this country change. I say thank you to all those who have made it possible to change Seychelles. There is a change in Seychelles, I'm sure. I'm not long here, but I feel that the people are more relaxed. Change that help the people to feel they are free, but to be in a shell, there's no freedom. Unfortunately, COVID has brought fear. We cannot change it. I say thank you very much to everybody who helped to change this country. One person I'm going to thank. Anybody who wants to hit me, assault me, or sabul mo, like we say in Creole, they can. It would not hurt me. I thank Eva Ramkalawon, which I called Ka, like some of the family did. And Colin, the father of Mr. Wevelka, President Wevelka Ramkalawon. I know him as well. He's a very jolly person. I want to say this in Creole, Madam Chair will get it into English. Mon dit merci, Seigneur. Mon dit merci, Ka, avec Colin, pour sa garçon qu'ils ont fait, avec l'amour. pour continuer la persévérance et tout bon encore qui aide dans sa cas pour faire ça arriver, OK? Good. OK?
En effet, comme dans open session, Jimon en général, il préférait qu'il cause en créole, mais seulement il dépend là où. Oui,
I already spoke to
you have.
my investigators and to Mrs. Chair as well, because I will be so helpful if you thank me, à cause de mon esprit brouillé. C'est ça. Merci beaucoup. Yeah? Yeah, thank you. I would like the Commission to know that I have made an operation last year in 2020, and I'm still a bit frail after the chemo, or chemo you call it in Creole maybe. Please bear with me if I tend to lose track or forget some important points, or if I have to take time remembering. Note that I have all documents in the files which confirms some of the details which I might lost during the process, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to be here. I already said it. I joined the police force in June, the year, I think it was 72, June 72, I think. But these, I have all documents there, my appointment and my release. On the 5th of June, 1977, what I witnessed, I'll tell this later, okay? I'll try and read what the text I have in front of me. It might help you better to follow. I enjoyed all departments. I served in the police force. I enjoyed to handle cases which involved youths more. These cases were children or youths who were victims or suspects of complaints. I was attached to the CID office at Montfleury. I learned a lot in shift duties. I investigated a case in which a young female juvenile was a suspect. That was when I was in the CID at Montfleury. That was a young juvenile, a female juvenile, was a suspect in a case of theft. The young female juvenile worked in a kindergarten near the Victoria Hospital, somewhere in Montfleury. While I was taking a statement from her in the presence of her mother, the young juvenile bursted into tears. She admitted to me in the presence of her mother, that she did not take the money. She did take the money. How much it was, I cannot remember. We took her to the kindergarten. She took the money out from the hiding place. It was a wooden house avec a wooden tibois. I decided then to visit her home. I wanted to know more about the reason why she stole, in inverted commas, the money. To add, I was teaching before. I taught in the St. Paul's Girls' School, and I also taught in the St. Saviour's School, Oswayal. On the same day, actually, I pushed the men police officers, we must go and see where she lives. We visited her home at Saint-Louis, uphill, up on the mountain. In my report, I added that she needed help instead of a sentence. At that time, there were juvenile courts and juvenile people who were helping youth to understand why they steal, why they this, or do that, at that time. The then Commissioner of Police came in the Mofele police station as a surprise visit. He spoke to a few of us. He inspected the work we did. He wrote in the visitor's book that I should attend a police training course in England. This is how I landed in Ashford Kent Police Training Station, school in January 75. If the date is wrong, you have all documents. I passed the exam as well in England. A sergeant promotion I got on the 5th of June on the day of the coup d'etat. Also in the nation, after the coup d'etat, the legal takeover of Seychelles, it was in the nation. Together with others who were promoted on that date. I did sit for a sergeant exam. I was promoted as a sergeant. I had not sat an exam or anything. To be honest, I don't think I passed the exam. I wanted to try. I cannot remember in which year it was when I was transferred to Exile. Before I was transferred to Exile, I asked for an appointment to see Albert. Why? I stayed in today it's the clinic, Montfleury Clinic. Many other police officers who were living next door, comme M. Setti, he was a police officer. He bought the place where he was, I think, but I will be corrected. I asked for an appointment. I met him. The appointment was maybe 3 minutes or 5 minutes. And
Why did you want that meeting at that time?
Why did I?
Yeah, why did you want a meeting with the president at that
I wanted
time?
to buy the house where I live.
Uh-huh.
And this house is now the clinic.
You
Montfleury
wanted to
Clinic,
buy
yeah.
it.
Yeah, because many of the policers around this area, like Mr. Shetty, he was a police officer, an ex-police officer. He lived in that police quarter, let's say. I was living in a police quarter. This police quarter was what I lived in. And before I was married to Sidney Akon, who was also an inspector of police or something.
Who was the compol? Who was the compol?
I went to Albert René to ask for that. But at that time was Commissioner James Pillay. The appointment took only 3 or 5 minutes. I don't know if I've had the chance to sit down or whatever. But then he told me that this house or this compound is going to be used as a building for the citizens of Seychelles, like it is now. It's a clinic. Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay, this I've already said. Anything I missed on this space? This above space? I don't think I missed anything. I did not read it, but I said it. Transferred to Oswaya. At Oswaya, there was every Thursday magistrates or other people concerned with attached to the court also came to Oswaya every Thursday. I had my shift duty from 8 to 4 or 4 to 12, but being a policewoman officer and as an ex-teacher, I did it on my personal time because the children, the youth, the elderly are those who are closer to my heart. I went to school. I gave instruction about how to keep themselves safe from strangers. Maybe when people want to rape them or do anything that in the family it happens much more than we think. I did this as well. Yeah, magistrates travel from Victoria to this. I've said it closes the whole part here, I think, doesn't it? If there is any question from this part, you've understood everything. So I can move to the other side. And at that time, then Mr. George and Annette, Madame Annette George also were among those who came to Exile Magistrates Court. At that time, when I was at Exile, the students and children were brave. They were voicing their opinion against the decision taken by the unlawful government. I did as well. I did it openly. Nobody had to go behind my back to say what I wanted to say.
Such as what kinds of things were you and the students talking about?
For instance, NYS.
Ah, okay.
I opened my mouth
1979.
until today about NYS. If the law says a parent or parents have the custody or whatever responsibility for a child until 16 or 18, how can a child go to NYS at the age of 14 or whatever? That's the point. I can until today not understand about equality, or we are not all born different. We are born as a genie. Some are born maybe with less power, not a genie, but we all have our capability. We are born with our capability. One can be a lawyer, the other one can be a carpenter. This is what I said to my children in school, always, until today. Every job in this world is a noble job. If you don't sweep the streets, the people who walk with their TikTok shoes or whatever, or they cannot walk without walking over dirt or what. Still until today, every job in this world is a noble job. We should respect each other. Respect. There were respect before Albert took over the Seychelles unlawfully. Yeah, I expressed my opinion about NYS. I did not choose where to express my opinion, I said. And there were also unlawful acquisition of land. We've heard enough of it. I was living at Exile in a police quarter. That's the house Mr. Green and others will know. It's just the one very near the road. And I had all my furniture in it when I was at Exile. The acquisition of land is maybe a chapter which maybe I should take after, or I can take it now.
Maybe if you can follow as it is for
You
your
can
own
take it
self.
here.
As you are following now,
Yeah.
it's better for you to follow the order, if you want.
Okay. And it's up to you because you are following.
No, you are the one who presenting, no problem.
Okay.
It's up to you.
Okay. If I'm allowed to talk about the little house I have or built, I was only 23 maybe, or less. Our parents had a very small property. When we all had a piece, a little piece, this is your piece, this is Mike's piece, this is piece, or Dennis' piece, or whoever we were called. I built a small house with the help, that is something important again, with the help of the neighbors. The neighbors helped to clear the land, to help with carrying stones, to help this and that. This was Seychelles. And there was somebody living in that little house when I was at Exile. But since there was an unlawful decree, the house should go to her. I am not wrong to say that she was SPUP because she's dead, I respect. May her soul rest in peace. She went to meetings, etc. But how could she get that little house and property because she's paid years and it belongs to her? Where should I put my furniture? Where should I live? And
Did you rent it to her?
I rented it. Yeah.
And how long did you rent it to her for?
It could have been 3 to 5 years or longer.
She then sought possession of it under the Tenants' Rights Act.
Yeah, according to the tenant's right, she thought it was hers and there was difficulty to get her out. And this is another story which I'm not prepared not to jump. This is why I had to stay back instead of going to England with my son, who was 8 years old. So we can talk about this later, yeah?
Mhm.
And okay, then I spoke my mind about everything which I thought was not proper. We've heard enough here. Yeah, I spoke unlawful degree passed, the acquisition of land and houses, and lots of threats. Threats. Let's talk about threats. I have heard someone many times, which I cannot, I don't know if he's here. I don't know if I should write his name, but he was one of the SPUP people who liked to scare people. Mention his name, don't mention his name. There was a lot of scare in the country, we all know that. He said to my spiel, La Côte Rousseau, il y a 5 la case. Hode nous brûler, nous aider. But I was at my relative's place. You felt, you did not feel at ease. And my uncle worked hard to have what he had. Il pas bol personne. Il te mas dans son délit, puis il a acheté du bois, côté tu gagnais. He sold wood. Why should you burn 1 or 2 or whatever? Also, we all know how much instigation or whatever would be a threat to another pays Cecil.
Can we investigate? Can we get the name on a piece of paper, please? Thank
Yeah, but that's a long, about 40 years ago. If he remembers himself, I doubt it. Yeah. I hope I know his name because his surname goes now, but the way the name is written to me, it's this way, yeah? Expressing out will be this way. His surname I cannot recall now. Oh yeah, I mentioned this part already. Youth need their parents at the age of 15. 15 years, and they were forced to go to NYS. They were forced because if they did not go, they would not get education. And I'm going to say something which is not here. Did they start l'éducation pour rien, education for nothing? Did they start education for nothing? I went to St. Paul's Girl Primary School. My parents paid nothing. We helped in the church. We did not pay anything. I remember I paid maybe 2 rupees or 50 cents. When I was in secondary modern school, people will correct me. I'm so proud I did. My brothers as well. Lesquels pays qui n'ont pour rien? C'est celle que tu partages pas. Left, right, and center. Which country? Anyway, as I hear, some people write, this c'est celle qui a l'éducation pour rien. This c'est celle qui a only Seychelles has education, free education, free health service or whatever. BLA aussi là. We should stop having everything free. How can you should learn to be responsible for yourself, which we were taught in the colonial times. So yeah, youth at the age of 15 years, they were forced to go to NYS. If my memory served right, there were many so-called Berater, advisors from East Germany, working in Seychelles at that time. They were not only, in my opinion, but in the opinion of many, they were indoctrinators. Being in Germany, I understand fully how NYS, East German NYS, is more or less the same, more or less a copy of NYS in Seychelles. Albert René himself gave an interview. I think Bela, somebody, Henderson? The first few words on the interview, he said himself, we decided or we had to change the whole system. Please, the word whole system. René destroyed the whole system, a system of civilization in Seychelles. Mothers and sisters, brothers and uncles and daughters were fighting each other. People in districts who were harmonious, who lived together. There was a lot of quarrels, hatred, facet, etc. This is a fact. Yeah, the NYS was based on FD, the Free German Youth Union in the East German Republic. Okay? Being here in Seychelles, I followed BBC. I had a feeling this system will collapse. This is something I said out loud. Because it started, I think, in Prague, and then it went to Madam Chair is nodding, so it's right. From Prague, and I think that person in Prague won a medal for his bravery. And then it went over to the Pope, where Pope John Paul was born. He was here in Seychelles. He must have done, he did not come here only to kiss the ground of Seychelles. He came on a mission. I told René, Key, if you put fermentation in a bottle, a glass bottle, and you put out a cover, one day, a fermentation takes place, the bottle will burst, the glasses which fall, spread everywhere, is much more dangerous than the explosion. This happened in 2021 in October. The date I've forgotten. Which date was the first legal election in Seychelles? The last one here, 24th, on the night of 24th, 26th of October, was it? Yeah.
The last one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The explosion took so long to happen, but it did happen. It happened when I was struggling or believed in myself that I will be alive, I will stay alive. I admit having started, saved, and read New Letter. Yeah, I admit. I had started to save and read newsletters, which the government declared as illegal. At one time, I cannot recall the exact time, some individuals on motorbikes were throwing newsletters in the air while they were riding on their bikes. Sorry, it was really interesting for me. I admire their courage until today. As the Commission has already heard, we as police officers did many spot checks at that time. More spot checks were conducted at night. And I can add something about spot checks. There were so many fires. I was still a police officer at Oswaya, yeah? When the newsletters were being spread. We did spot checks. There were sometimes in the cars for spot checks. You saw empty canisters of benzene or whatever. If somebody has his lighter in his pocket, you cannot accuse him you cannot not arrest him or take him as a suspect. The police station to question him at that time. But there were spot checks. I've never seen a newsletter in a car, but in cars there were maybe 2, 3, 4 canisters or empty canisters of petrol or whatever, but most of the time they were empty. A bit suspect, but anyway. At the police station, there was a militia. C'est pas un militia base, a militia. It was not easy to work as a police officer there. There was a militia squad in Oswald police compound in the evenings. If my memory serves me well, I may be wrong. I think it was one of the Samson was in charge of this squad. I did not mention his name, but it's right. Okay. It will be unlawful to relate of any irregularity, unfair to relate any irregularities or incident which involved the militia as we as police officers were stationed at Oswaya.
Tu es capable peut-être explique-nous un petit peu plus en détail qui m'a y a quelque chose qui changé dans la police après coup d'État, comme si
quelque chose qui changé, Madame Jervis, Madame Purvis, sorry. Un tunnel ici où tu besoin.
Oui, mais où l'expérience pour
oui, mais où tu
besoin quelque chose différent.
Nous, la police, nous partons par une marionnette. Marionnette is restis? Sorry, is restis is German now. I cannot speak English, I cannot speak Creole, I cannot speak French, I cannot speak German. Nous par une marionnette. We had to do the head, il dit là-bas,
ou dit baïonnette.
Marionnette.
Marionnette.
Oui.
Marionnette.
Who was pulling the strings?
Who was pulling the string? Monseigneur. There are people who came who said, I've heard it, Monseigneur est là. Il a dit, on s'appelle Monseigneur.
The refer to
C'est tout, René.
Albert René.
Oui,
tu réfères là, comment Monseigneur?
Est-ce que Monseigneur est là, Monseigneur?
Ah bon?
Mais Albert René, tu dis, on a saisi la NYS. But when I was in the primary school, I had education, religious education. Our teachers did religious education. Sometimes the priests gave religious education. I might be wrong. People will correct me. Was there a time que religious instruction n'a pas dans l'école? Why did René acquire, I think is the right word, to l'école? Why? Was there a reason behind it? Seulement, il apprend pour living. He went to university or whatever for theology.
Mais alors, pareil, ou dit aux autres besoin de faire spot checks, etc. Soit, est-ce qu'ils ont dit côté pour faire spot checks?
Non, nous tu fais pas
Ils
la
font la
soyale.
target comme si?
Pas la soyale. Les côté l'église, ça s'ouvre. L'endroit qui nous fait spot check, qui est une façon qui peut arriver aucun accident. Ça l'étonne une quantité différente aussi pour un bateau. If I say a quantité, I'm exaggerating, mais tu as difficile à l'état. Un noyé, c'est un papier. Papier noyé, I still have papier which was flowing in the air. I still have some. Somebody took it out of Seychelles for me. Il partit papier qui petit, you can read it. You know how to read Creole. It was not papier which was instigating or doing harm. The people had a chance to how to express themselves, to set themselves free. But anyway, I still have some.
Oui, dans ce temps-là, Madame Anakoura, dans ce temps, vous dites que la police, il paraît comme une puppet,
Marionnette, yeah.
marionnette. Yeah. Et donc, que station Anse Royale, c'est une ancienne base militaire. Quelle relation était entre deux officiers de la police avec militia? Vous collaboré, vous dispute, mais vous étiez.
To be honest, I cannot say they were harsh to us or whatever. I cannot remember much incident which happened. I know an incident, a personal incident which happened to me. This I can tell later, maybe, not as to get everything in a muddle, yeah? I was arrested by one of them. I still remember him. He lived at Moplesi, and I was in my uniform. I was in uniform.
Arrested by the militia?
Militia.
Yes.
Les autres n'ont pas pouvoir pour arrêter du monde?
We were marionnettes, Madame Purvis.
Oui, ok. Allez, continuez.
Marionnette. Is it how you say it in French?
Marionnette, oui.
Marionnette.
Yeah, there was a militia squad there, and the person we know who were. There was always, there was this coming in and going out and coming in, and it was not easy in the police station. It's just like somebody in the middle of your sitting room and partly in your bedroom and partly in your kitchen when we were not sort of free or whatever anyway. And so now, one incident, remember when I was arrested by a male person with a family named Britus. He lived at Montplaisir. British was a militia with the Oswald group. If British was on duty, when he arrested me, I cannot remember. I think he was in civil. It was most likely that he was not on duty there. But British, I know him as a somebody who likes to have his drink or whatever. I cannot say he had previous convictions. I think there were times when I was at Oswald when he was before the court. This is irrelevant. I cannot pinpoint him, but when I was arrested by a person with a family in Montplaisir, British was a militia, etc. I was on shift duty from 16 to midnight, between 17 and 18 hours at that day. I was in police uniform, as I said. I went out on a short foot patrol from Oswald police station compound facing Pointe-aux-Celles direction. Facing the mountainside, there were Indian shops. That is where Madame Carolis and Kate Carolis, and by the way, Kate Carolis, Miss May de Silva, Madame de Silva, her sister, and Kate, Madame Carolis, all they are very close friends, okay, family. For me, family. They were so good. Next to on the side of the hospital compound, there were two men stood by the shop on this path. There's a small path ladder, M. Green a rappelé aussi. tenais pas tout le monde, pas comme Madame Caroli, ça vient Saint-Xavier School. They were drinking a beer. When they saw me, many people had fear also for the police because probably we should not drink on the road. The regulation, or if it was allowed, I don't know. Drinking on the road was unlawful. At that time, when he thought he could better put orders with the sexual people than the colonial times. But he noticed later he could not hold the crowd. This is how it was, and it is. When these two men saw me, they left their beer and they ran away. They went mountain. I then hold the bottles. I think I was taking it to the police station, or don't leave it on where it was, as salte pas rester où c'est, put it in the bin or whatever. And I was facing to go back to the police station, and British grabbed me by the arm in my uniform. I have to look at my script here, sorry. Yeah. At the edge of the public road with my back turned to the shops, I saw the same male person, British, and he grabbed me by the arm and he said to me, he said, "Come, I'm taking you to the police station. You are arrested."
Mais Etienne, not ça des monde que tu peux boire?
The British was a militia. Did I say it
Okay.
right? Was it? The British was a militia. He arrested me. The men ran towards the mountain.
okay.
Tu as un fusil, Lisa, le temps?
No, he was in civil.
Tu n'as pas aucun fusil à
No,
côté?
no, he was in civil, to be
Oh, c'est dans
honest.
l'uniforme.
Maman, c'était mon uniforme. Mon petit lipier, balance, for your British grab over my card. And I did not want to use force to free myself or whatever. I said calm, and then at one time, his excitement calmed down. I could smell the song in his breath that he had taken alcohol. So he better stay calm, and the situation will be better. And he said to me, "Sergeant Racon, I arrested everybody knew I was a sergeant or whatever." He took the bottle away. He took the bottle away as exhibit or whatever, I don't know. But I think he was charged for this case. I cannot remember, but anyway. But just to show you how we were marionette, and to be honest, militia were not instructed about the law. They were just normal people who wanted to give their time for the illegal whatever, the illegal takeover. If he knew maybe he was doing something illegal, he would not even touch me in the uniform. Anyway, that is something I enjoyed. Yeah, there were passers-by who said to him, "Laksa, madam, release Madame Ako." And the civilians did their job. And the situation was then calm. The police officer sitting on the veranda also, I noticed what had happened. That was Perrine at that time. I don't know if she's still alive. Perrine, I say greetings, keep safe. There was a policeman called Perrine, lovely gentleman, nice guy. He was most of the time the driver. He was for everything. Perrine, I say hello. And Perrine came over and helped me. So I said, at that time there was a law for unlawful drinking in the public place. there was a nation, one of the newspapers. There were people, I don't know if I still have this, there were when this law came out or regulation, there were some people on there, I think I remember, these people who were on this piece of nation, they were some people who was talking against the government. I think I have this, but that was the headline with unlawful drinking was passed, the regulation or law was passed at that time. Okay, I think we understand this, yeah? The unlawful arrest now. On Thursday, 15, 1979 was a magistrate's court session. I took cases. Approximately at 13 hours, the court ended. I had arrest.
Royal, ça?
Royal, yes. This is the place where I was illegally arrested. Yeah, at 16 hours, to work in front of the magistrate's court as a prosecutrix, you can call it, is it? Ou comme un prosécuteur pour la police. This was, I enjoyed it. It was extra to my shift duties. But I did not do traffic. But there was a light. When there was cases which were typically grave, then for instance, Mr. Nyken or other prosecutors from Victoria would come over to take the cases. And I went home, I had a short rest, I got dressed in my uniform to take the shift at Royal. Superintendent Nyken sat on a bench under the Royal police station. He was then in charge of Royal.
Was that Mr. Viranel Nyken?
Yes, yes. He greeted me, he said, please go and dress in civil. Commissioner of Police want to see you in Victoria Police Headquarters. Si ou an a aucun newsletter, s'il vous plaît, paquet dans la quarter. Monsieur Nyken, merci. I did not have any at that time. But in Tiré, parti de la cour, it was not at home. They were not at home.
Et M. Nyken, tu connais pour dire où tu es en newsletter?
Il dit, moi, si ou an a. Si ou an a.
Il y a un soupçon quelquefois.
Pardon?
Il y a un soupçon quelquefois.
Tout le monde peut connaître pour dire, everybody knew that the newsletter were illegal.
Thrown out.
It's possible aussi because I had them multi-partagé, I shared to others. Why not? Honestly, I did not have a clue of anything happening about the arrest. I did not have any clue at that time that I was already arrested, sort of. Not with a document in my hand, but go back, dress in civils, and the Commissioner of Police wants to meet you. I didn't have a clue. Cyril Lauti and I were driven in the Central Police Station. On that day, Cyril Lauti was arrested.
Was he also at the police station? Is he in des arrêts de Casso?
No, on ne parle pas côté, mais nous avons des commis on that day. Nous étions ensemble. Yeah, on that, yeah.
Mais la police même qui t'amène d'autres?
Oui, tu drive. Mon compagnon qui te drive nous avec M. Nyken. I think at the police station.
Ou tu dans l'uniforme, ça, tu dans l'uniforme?
Non, là, on a côté.
Police en civil.
Ok, sans eux, ok.
Et dis-moi, sans M. Nyken, sans
Après, Willy.
si on a any newsletter tiré, commissionnaire a besoin en civil in Victoria headquarters. Là, nous avons la station, la police, at the police station in Victoria headquarters. There were lots of noises. There was a crowd and citizens whom I knew. I was served a copy of the detention order. I cannot remember who served it to me. I was soon after searched. We were searched and placed in the first. I was placed in the first police cell. When I say first police cell, is the first one Pulo car park. It's in the car park. Before I forget, this is something I am asking. I always ask questions. Sometimes I ask questions on Facebook and people cannot understand what I mean because mabuye, but I do ask. Most of the time I ask questions. We were detained, women. There were men detainees dans la court garde, in the castle, la police sa castle qui tout le monde criait aux ordres. Everybody who thinks they have to shout and write to Amnesty International how the castle was or is now. We were the castle.
C'est même castle, no?
Exactly. It was même castle. It même toilet, mon toilet too. If I cannot remember right. And we were women. We were not criminals. We were arrested illegally. We were placed in police custody with men who were detainers as well. I can still remember there was a Frenchman. There was Carlette, Marie, and I. If Mariette was in the prison, I cannot say. She can say that herself. It fois mon mal dit, mais ce moment appelle nous trois. At one point, being here, I'll say this. Carlette and Marie left prison custody, the police left police custody. I stayed there. And to pass my time, or whatever I can say, pour me gagner la force, à un moment la force me tient dans moi. You are a person, you can move mountains if you want to. Bon Dieu aide vous move mountain. Bon Dieu, il dit priez à sortir là, il pas tomber l'eau lap. You have to do something about it. Yeah? I started to sing hymns or psalms, whatever I do. Then I requested to have some hymn books from Bishop French, talking about Bishop French. I may be wrong, but I think I'm right. Bishop French's mother and my mother were cousins. When Bishop French was born, he will correct me. His mom was sick. My mom cared for him. Latin darling, Marin darling. This is how Bishop French said, Kapel Nana. He mentioned this on my mom's funeral. We are related. Bishop French is the uncle of Linda Omkalawan. John Gouffet, I am godparent of John Gouffet. He was here. My dad was John Gouffet's parent. My dad was Doris, John Gouffet's mom. And we all know in the Catholic Church as well, the Anglican Church, the people were always united. Everybody knew everybody as relatives or united, Cecile. Also this about...
Your detention order was signed by President Rene?
Yes, the detention order. You have it in my file.
Yeah.
I think I'm not a she, I'm a he. There's a mistake in it as well. One mistake.
How long Combien de temps tu resté
Côte
dans
Garde.
la centrale, oui.
Je crois 3 jours, bien 4 jours. Après là, I was sent to prison.
New
That wa-
York.
That was also interesting. When I came out of prison, I was working as the prosecution in town, and I saw those whom I took the case, they convicted. They said, "Oh, Sunvini, now you are also here. You never thought you would see the prison doors or whatever." But anyway, they said what they wanted to say. I did not feel insulted. It was good for them. Okay. Then we were in the prison cell. We were together with the women prisoners. This is also not acceptable. I may be wrong.
Vous tous étiez dans la même celle?
Nous étions
Tout
dans la
le monde-
même
madame,
prison,
c'est
même
dans
compound.
Mary Shopee, Josette Young, Charlotte Toll,
Scarlett
Mariette
and
Knight,
Mary was in one cell.
and Jana Sandape.
One cell. I was in another cell. When I was illegally arrested, Madame Sadape parti lali. It was only me, Scarlett, Mary Shopee, Madame Niken, Josette Young, and whom else I forgot, and myself. We were 5. Okay? Yeah, and people, when I was singing, and sometimes I made fun, people were saying on the road I was more full. Doesn't matter. Yeah, then I asked to see Bishop French. Okay, I stayed this already. I sang to my heart's content in the police cell. I was in the choir before.
When they took you to the police station, did they tell you why they were putting you in a cell?
No, Madam Chair, nous avons un service à bout de papier. We had not one word said to us. And we read on it, we were instigating anyway. If it was instigating, I personally, openly said, I opened my mouth to whatever I thought was wrong, but more especially about the youth. And yeah, they are still at my.
Did you, comme si vous t'expectez pour dire ça, tu peux arriver avec vous? À cause ça, c'est le deuxième batch du monde qui a arrêté, le premier batch, c'est 78.
Madam Chavis, yeah, because if you go back, sorry, I'm allowed to say this or go back. Le Albert n'était sem la haine. If it's not la haine, if I'm saying wrong that he spread hatred, avec tout respect, je demande pas, je dis avec tout respect, excuse-moi. Albert n'était debout de le stage, en ville. Nous tous nous rappelons. Malba! Bon, Albert sur le stage, bon, qui est en bas qui te criait. D'autres pour aller, they're going to go. Sinon, Albert est debout de là-bas, il crie sinon. Après, il y a un bon qui est en bas qui dit, he will go. Ça bonne la terre, monsieur Deltel, ou bien la terre ici, la terre là-bas, non, il bien pas non. Ou partager. He said qu'il peut arriver. But he said in this interview he had to change the whole system. Into 2 systems, from the tip of the toes, from the inside and to the head, and the inside of the head as well. Because Messi, fortunately, he did not change in the brain for everybody. This is why I say thank you to all who struggled and stayed in this country to fight for democracy, to fight for freedom. I say thank you. Okay, so another wish I had was I wanted to have a mattress. I wanted a mattress to sleep in the police cell. I was not sentenced. human rights. Let's talk about human rights now. Aujourd'hui, now that people know about human rights, where were they? Where were they, all them who said, for instance, I heard this in the assembly. Somebody said, ça 43 ans passé pour nous, ça. These 43 years past is ours. Nobody thought of the situation of the people who were arrested, tortured, etc. Where were they? I'm asking questions. I have a lot of questions.
Well, they existed, but they weren't respected. They had the rights, but they weren't respected at that time.
Sorry, Madam Chair, on the
Yeah.
plane.
I'm saying, you're asking where the rights were. I'm just saying the people had those rights,
Yeah.
but they weren't respected.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. At that time, 43 years, I'm going to say this in Creole, rights of the people in Seychelles, let's say some, and a man click no. Premier Cousin guy, they were also thrown in, set aside. And guy could be mass come these are like mass spear the rights of the people. And 43 years, and then when they gave to James Michel, and James Michel gives to Danny Four. I'm going to skip something here, I'm sorry, before I forget, mentioning about Danny Four. That was not a long time ago. The election campaign. Danny Four stood with the other group. It's on video. We can all go and watch again and hear. I think it was Mr. Gankou who opened his mouth with much bravery and enthusiasm. He gave a name for Truth and Reconciliation. Telenovela, was it?
Yes.
What happened? Tout le monde s'y bat là, mais I cannot say tout le monde s'y bat là, but there are, you can see enough like s'y bat là, mais Danny Four was there. I'm asking a question. Danny Four. Mon pas noir, ou fait aucun mouvement. You pas accepté ça. I did not see any body language, or at least body language. If you do not open your mouth to say, stop, that is not accepted. But you said nothing, Mr. Four, until today. Est-ce que ça qui bat l'en ou bien pas dit non rien? Il parle, and qui dit ça telenovela is telenovela, au lieu respect. Est-ce qu'il tisse sa papier pour Truth and Reconciliation get going?
Oui.
Bon, alors, on peut demander la question. Excuse-moi si vous ne voulez pas battre moi. I'm asking questions. Oh Lily. In allé. Merci Seigneur, ou bien merci, moi pas dire Seigneur, puisque si ça me dit on va faire le tic en l'air, it will not happen. Mon Dieu, pas descendre pour lui venir tic en l'air. Nous sommes moyens, si on inspire the moon, pour dire there should be an end to something, in inspire the moon. Mon Dieu, merci encore. The only, sorry, I'm going to extend on this since I'm here on this topic. If you are an employee, you go to work, you have your job, you come late. You say, I'm sorry, boss. I missed the train. I missed the bus. I'm very sorry. The SQ reconciliation. Is it just sorry, or invite one family at State House and talk to the family, and there's camera, there's blah, blah. Is that enough? Maybe I'm expecting too much. I'm asking, is that enough? I'm talking to Danny Four now. And not only that, before James Smith City, he gave the baton. Yeah? He's having the reconciliation. I'm sorry. There's repent, you say, somebody says, oh, I'm sorry. But are you really sorry? Or are you showing from deep inside that you are sorry, if you are sorry? Anyway, I like to ask questions. Excusez-moi, s'il vous plaît, Simon, avec tout respect. Okay, the prison at Unionville, that is also interesting. I'm going to thank many people. When we are in prison, I don't know if the others remember, but I still remember sometimes we woke up and we went marching up and down and we sang just what came into into our head. Either we had a broom in our hand or something, we marched up and down, we sang just to pass time. But sometimes there were fear, because when there were attempted takeover or coup d'etat, the prison wardens who worked there at that time, Madame Waro, Jane, I remember her name, second name, the wardens, They came in, they gave a little news that there are rumors that can be another counter coup or whatever. Then we had our little worries anyway. It's past. Okay, then we had many times, in the prison we were together with the women criminals. Sometimes they had their little quarrels, but is that right? Anyway, Amnesty International, at that time, nobody thought of doing that. We were also treated like mass pay. No rights were treated like mass pay. We were in detention. We are in the spur of moments told that we are being picked up for interviews at the police station. I was annoyed when I was questioned by Superintendent Tikmoe. To be honest, until today I cannot recognize myself. I'm saying that, to be honest, until today cannot recognize myself. Because when you hear all these things being said about you, told about you, and you think that there must have been people who was walking behind you day and night. There were some people in the police force who were doing that. These are rumors, I cannot mention names or whatever. But once I was in civil, I went to the Plateau La Royale to collect some bars which creeps in a petit flare. They told me when I went there, the time I went there, with whom I went there, what time I went back home, and I got so mad. Sometimes I did swear.
But you didn't realize that you were
No,
being
mais
followed.
là, tout ça, la madame permis, c'est pas fatigué. What? Why did they have to go behind me? I always spoke openly about God, en ville, anywhere, to speak, I spoke.
So when he was saying you went to this place at this time,
I was a police officer still.
yeah, and was he making an accusation you went there because you're involved in this plot?
Madam
or-
Chair, I did not want to say the public. I'm sorry. What about public? Excuse. Dans le ploté. Je plote contre le gouvernement. Mais là, par exemple, on dit que moi, avec I wish I knew that policeman. He was a little bit. He was quiet, but he was okay. And I told him, baby, yes, I don't know. I asked to say his name, but I did swear, but not direct. Mais moi, avec ça, beaucoup nous dans le ploté. Mais comment vous dire encore? What could I say? You see, you get so annoyed. I went sometimes to Madame Caroli's sister. We were teaching at Exile together. Rosemary Niken, married to Alibi. One of the Alibi was also arrested at that time. Yeah, I was accused of having too many. Mon a beaucoup étranger comme un ami. Mon a beaucoup pareil. Benaj, Michel Georges. Sorry, I said Benaj. Michel Georges. Excuse-moi, I dit Benaj Georges. Because I know him in the church, we all say Benaj or whatever, Mr. Georges and all these people. So if you were talking to people like this, là, assez là, on finit gagner un stamp.
Monsieur Morin, nous
sortis.
interview qui dit où les.
Il dit on a le salon d'oie. Mais vraiment on a dans ça. Ou rappelle on a le salon d'oie. On a un sport, un restaurant bien renommé. On a le restaurant et pas qu'il là. On n'a pas vu tout ça qu'on fait. Enfin, on dit suivre dans. Enfin, nous disons en créole, suivre dans.
Et après, il dit où les. Ou admettre tout ça là.
Mon pas admettre mon jour, mon jour madame. Mon pas dit trop beaucoup. Ha ha ha. Mais seulement mon dit dans mon expression pour moi. Mon connaît les dit mon assuré mon corps, mon peut bien dire. Et tu t'entendais que mon dit que moi mon dit jour. Et tu m'as dit quoi si mon capable d'une de ça state of ça. But you are dragged into that state. Non?
Oui. Et après, quand on retourne avec vous, UVC?
Now, we finish investigation. They take you back to the prison. That's why I mentioned Rosemary Niken. I mentioned her here, yeah. That's it. Ruby Mede Silva. I know Ruby as a small child. Auntie Jocelyn. Kate Cowlis called me Auntie Jocelyn. May and Ruby and I call Kate Ruby's mom Nun. Fanon. I know them. My mama knows Fanon. No man as children, but all these were people who you have been mentioned. You have contact with them. All this. Des gens qui famille ou bien quoi ou partie de sorry. So partie de vote. We were not allowed to sort of mix with them. Maybe somebody. Okay, oh, I did it. My hands are weak as well. My muscles.
Et combien de temps tu fais UVC?
Combien de mois tu fais à la prison?
Oui.
Also from les 15. Les 14 nous tu as arrêté. We were arrested on the 14th.
Oui.
A day before Albert René's birthday.
Non, dis-nous jeudi le 15.
So yeah, a day before. Sorry.
Okay.
You can see on the you will
On
see
the
on the
arresting, yeah.
statement.
Oui, oui.
La motivée, I don't know, I'm stupid most of the time. Sometimes it's good to stay as a child in life. I said, la nun arrêté, we are being arrested a day before Albert's birthday. We have been invited. We have been invited a day before Albert's birthday when we were arrested. That was the day before. It was on the 14th, because he, as far as I can remember, he said, "Nous tu peux plotter to overthrow him. We are plotting to overthrow him." This is, for instance, one of the things when we were there, we heard people saying, "Go plotter or whatever." Anyway, doesn't
Et
matter.
combien de temps où tu restais?
From the, I think it was the 8th of February, but middle February, 8th or middle February. There's a release in the document. But, yeah.
From November 9, 8th of
That's it, yeah. It's all
Okay.
the documents I sent today are in there already. Yeah, we were accused of instigating instigating at that time. Yeah, as far as when I might take this here. About Norman's mother, so by Mr. Pile, Mr. Paul Pile, the children of Commissioner of Police, the sisters of Commissioner of Police were my teacher. Jane Pile was a teacher. So I know the family as a small child. They knew me as a small child.
Et aussi, 5 fois que tu gagnes un
Une fois, madame,
Plusieurs fois. Okay.
Madame Jabi, Madame Purvis. You don't know when, you just...
Ah, so, de temps en temps, pendant ça, toi à moi, là,
You say you get dressed, the van is there, and in the car, and you go, and you come back, and you come back frustrated, you laugh, and you're angry, sometimes not. Anyway.
Et les temps où on sortit après, comment tu passes?
When I was at what happened in the prison, yeah? In the prison, which is nice as well. I say thank you to many people. We arranged with a dental department. There was a foreigner there. We wanted to go out. We arranged to go to the dentist. So we went to the dentist, and we smuggled news that we're going to the dentist. And one day a lady I know, she took my son, who was around 8 years old at that time, to the dental clinic, and I wanted to see him. And when I approached him, there was a soldier with his gun in his uniform. He came to me and pushed me and said, "Open the door quickly, avance." And the people around, the civilians around, shouted, "Laisse Madame Marco, pas me, you're not ashamed. Laisse Madame Marco." And I don't know how I did it. I pushed him, and he pivoted at the back, and then people were saying, "Laisse Madame Marco, laisse Madame Marco." He stayed calm. I don't know how I had the strength to more pussily, but it happened. We went out, and we could see our relatives. I don't know if the men did that as well. Yeah, we were often called many a times, just short notices. So at Oswayala, I mentioned the people at Oswayala I know, and the children. There's a picture for Bishop Wong for the archives. A picture of St. Saviour's School. The St. Saviour's School children, there's some green, I forgot the name, some green, Will's Green, daughters of Will's Green, for instance. Small, I have a picture of that with Heather Johnson. And Miss Pupono, Miss Beryl Pupono was there, Cousin Norman and Akua. I have a picture. I can send it to someone, and you can have this to keep for the church archives.
Welcome.
And so in prison detention, we were detained together with women prisoners. I cannot remember how many, doesn't matter. We had breakfast and 2 meals per day. And when the breakfast in Vinda nous la moque émaillé. We all know this. Avec un biscuit la roux. You know that, what is called that biscuit la roux?
La roue s'arrête.
La roux s'arrête. And then when I had eaten a mousse, there wasn't flies in it. Having swum too long, just moving if there was air, but otherwise not lively, not alive. What can you do? Most of that I'm saying it loud. we did not have to drink this because the women wardens, I say thank you again, they were nice to us. We had a good breakfast. We had a good breakfast. I say thank you to all who helped us. When our meals came, also the first few days, we had to eat because we were not really one with a team. We knew them all. We greeted before, and so. Okay, in our food there was living creatures, dans nos poissons frits, avec sa bouillon bread. Madame Chair now knows bread, warm. And then the poisson frits, there were living creatures creeping, so. Okay. Là, Amnesty International, parti là. Parler d'Amnesty, dignity of the moon, parti là. You see, the people of Seychelles, the generation 43 years, living in Germany longer than in Seychelles. I went in 1980. That generation, respect infinity pour camarades, faire la peine, get destroyed. Then we drive fish to eat, but then later, the wardens helped us because two of the wardens I can remember, their husbands or partners were in prison, also detainees. Yeah, Christmas there was everything. We ate. Those who had a little drink had a little drink. I don't drink. I don't like alcohol. Okay, that's something interesting. I wish I could see that person if he is alive. It did happen. Believe you me, everybody. In the evenings we prayed. We were rather a good team as detainees. We prayed, and then one day I remember Khaled said, "Teach us how to say Our Father in English." So I said a line, and they repeated. And to be honest, all good things comes from above. There's a saying in German. Suddenly, we said, "Give us this day our daily bread." And something fell on the floor. We were still. We got still. We did not know what it was. There was a police unit at the back. In the police unit, there were some holes in the walls of our cell. And one of the members of the police unit, he packed dried fish, everything which was dry, patat, mayo. So he made small parcels, and he let it drop into our cells. And every evening, then everything was clear, meaning the soldiers, they came to our cell, not every day. The first nights we slept with light in the cell. But the light in the compound also is too bright, you could hardly sleep. That means you had light, in the evening we had light until 6 o'clock or whatever. And each day we knew that everything is clear now, the warden with us. Then we prayed, and that person knew now he can send good things from above. And one person, I wish I knew her. I know if she's alive, I say thank you. But his children, his generation should know that. Sylvia used to wash the prisoners. They wore white gown or dress or whatever at that time. Anyway, she was there to wash. And Sylvia, adorable, a lovely woman, she wore a hat always, a straw hat. Sylvia Also, il fait comme tresse la corde, tresse so pour faire la chapeau.
Tres la paille.
Dans la paille, merci Madame
Tres la
Pervis.
paille. Mhm.
So Sylvia, il fait avec son own straw hat. You have to
Bread.
yeah. Sylvia did a hat herself, and Sylvia fait son fond chapeau. How are you to call it fond chapeau in English?
She made it false.
Sylvia, tell me.
And then she put food in it. Mhm.
That was her handbag for our food. She brought us food, dried potatoes or whatever. Yeah. And then I met Sylvia. She was helping at Madame Pile's house as Commissioner of Police. And Madame Pile blessed them both, the Pile. I cannot say.
When you say Mrs. Pillay, is Mrs. Pillay the wife of the police commissioner, James Pillay?
Later, when I came out of prison, I was held by the family Pile. I cannot say anything wrong against the Pile. People
Which Pillay?
Madame Pile, James Pile.
Madame
ex-cop,
James Pillay.
Madame James Pile avec son James Pile aussi.
No, okay.
I say thank you. Mon papa a dit non, il y a mal against Monsieur James Pile. Mon papa experienced something wrong avec Madame James Pile. Ou bien Monsieur James Pile himself.
Madame Baba Pillay.
Baba, yes. She always said to me, Titante, maman pas encore maman c'est mon. One of the family after I was in the police. As I say, I knew the family, and family of Monsieur Pile and so on. And one of them was sick, and I, with my experience with children, she did not want to drink medicine. She did not want to do this and do that at the hospital. I cared for her, and until today, we are one. And when I'm out of prison, they helped me. They called me Titante, all of them.
Can we move to when you were released?
Did Mr. Pillay, the commissioner, ever say anything to you about being detained, being dismissed from the police?
I think, to be honest, Madam Commissioner, when I was arrested, I know him or whatever. He, not only me, I'm sure many people, he felt, he was, we are all humans. We are all have a bad sides if they are bad. We all have a good side. We all have sentiments. He showed the expression that he was sad, let's say it this way. See, we all have, I always say this until today. I'm going to say it in Creole. Nous tous nous avons nos mêmes côtés. It is good so. Otherwise, the world would be upside down. It would be a mess. Okay, I talked about our
Your release, oui.
Pardon?
Your release.
Oui. Oh, yeah, Sylvia bought boiled potatoes. Yeah. Oops. Okay, now please note Josette Young and Mayette Niken were released before Carlette, Mary, and I. Well, when it rained, they have, as I said, this whole slably came into the cell, depending on the north or southeast monsoon or whatever. Yeah, we complained. We had toothaches or whatever. The appointment.
Saundino.
Tout ça, la non-finité.
Oui.
Towards me, and that's how I was really said. In the first few years, we went out of prison. We did not know when we were coming out. We were just told you're going out now. And something which we really enjoyed, or We always waited for that. When Bishop French was in St. Paul's Cathedral, when he was doing the service or whatever, we sat near a radio, the Catholic Church as well, and we listened to the church service. That was luxury for us because the wardens allowed it to happen. We had some refreshment, and if I might say, I think I am not wrong, Bishop French was the only person who said a little bit more than every other priests about the situation in the country.
Ou di nou, Josette Young et Mariette Naiken, ti gan lage avant.
Yeah, Josette
À
Hong.
peu près combien l'état avant?
I cannot remember Josette Hong Titom.
Les 3 semaines?
Yeah, they were not too long. Mariette was not too long.
La restant zot 3 zot ti gan
We
lage
said
en
3
même temps?
months, oui.
Zot ti gan lage en même
Oui,
temps?
oui.
Ok, ben après ça, ou tu as travaillé avec Madame Josette Young, non?
Oui.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Et
Here it's
comment tu
about my son, but then we can say it later. Don, son I had at that time. I still have my son. Anyway, with Josette if I remember well, Josette had a nervous breakdown, and they had to release her. Josette Hong. They had to release her. Yeah, I don't know if I'll say here because it's on your about Don. That's my son. When I was in prison, we did not know when we leave or how long we're going to stay there.
Quel âge ou garçon ti an nan?
7, 8
Yeah,
years,
that was
7, 8.
Mm.
So I smuggled a letter. My sister destroyed it. It would have been history. I asked my sister in England and family if they could put him in their custody until I go out and do what should be done. I was still in prison. When I came out, my brother, thank you. My sister wrote straight away, yes, they accepted him. And actually, I too was going with them. When I came out, arrangements were done. As I said, Madame Purvis, you know that la famille, c'est Loati, always had support for each other. My family especially, my family towards my mom, my family to my mom, my family towards my father also the same. We are still united. We have our differences, but we are united. They had already done arrangements so that Don would leave. And when I came out from prison in February, Don left sessions on the 30th of March, the same year I came out of prison. And he went to school. My sister paid school for him in England. But then after his 3 months staying in England, my mother took him to England. Luckily, a year before, he and my mother went on a holiday to England, and he knew where he was going. To know where you're going 3 months with a parent who coming back is not you going, you don't, do not know where you come, or your mom is away, or whatever, it's something different. I'm not a psychologist, but we are all parents, we know what it is. We are not all humans, and we think all humans who think right will know what I'm talking about. As I told you, I have known many people, for example, President Omkalawan, grandparents, Madam, so grandparents, they live at Kolkata State. I was an ex-teacher of Stella Gouffet in St. Paul's School. We all know each other in churches, or it's not new. It's something which we all know. As I said, I'm John's godmother, and Doris, John's mother, my father was Doris' godfather. Yeah. That is the part you have. If you have any question about the 4th of June, do coup d'etat, do illegal takeover of Sicily. You can ask questions. I am one of the family who last saw, as we were small, I used to call him Tonton Son. But then the years go back, we called him Son. I was one of the last persons in the family who saw Son because he was executed.
Were you at the police station?
Yes.
Ah, okay.
Did you observe what happened? Did you see what happened to
No.
him? No.
I've stated that in my. Below me is where my mom was born. Below me is where I will be buried. And I hope that I will be able to be buried in my country, where I was born. I am a Seychellois. I did not leave Seychelles because the economy in Seychelles was not good, and economy outside in the European countries or outside were rosy or whatever. I was forced to go. I had to go. I had phone calls. I cannot say who. Sometimes it was the voice of a woman, sometimes it was the voice of a man, sometimes somebody just rang and put the phone down. And I was told that if I don't shut my mouth after the prison, my son Don would be kidnapped. I might as well faire mon la mousse. Tout le monde qui threatened pour faire la mousse.
Mr. Van Jimon qui t'y call ou la
Ou pas capable d'identifier.
anonymous callers comme si ou
Oui,
bien
oui.
call.
Ou pas capable connaître les
Mais
cas.
pour aussi les temps où tu sorti de la prison, ou parti est-ce que tu as appelé par ministre Beloui pour dire
Non.
ou sécurité pas capable
Non. Monsieur Pilé qui te dit, mon comment écrit là, mon pas connaît côté il était, but Monsieur Pilé, il m'a dit, as I say, I know the family years before. Monsieur Pilé, nous, moi, tu m'as donné un api. Son sisters were my teachers at Paul's Girls' School. He told me to leave. He advised me to leave the country. And I've stated it somewhere in my statement. On that day when I was released, he saw me, he told me to come upstairs to him. And then I went upstairs, he told me to leave. And then he said to me, Baba, we'll send a transport. Baba will organize a transport, not police transport. You go to meet, Baba wants to see you. Et après, c'est important aussi. Et trop beaucoup de choses aussi importantes. L'État pas passer ici, with my big operation, etc. If there's another chance, even on Skype or whatever, I'll say it. And I went to Madame Baba Pile. May her soul rest in peace. I saw her before she died, and she recognized me. I'm so happy I did. And then she told me, Monsieur Pile aussi told me to be careful, not to take any lifts. And at that time my mom was with Don in England, and to be careful. And they told me, our home is your home. You helped us when we were in need. We can help you too. And I stayed with them. Apropos, I'm saying I stayed with them. At that time, Mama James Michel was living with Madame Pile, La Famille Pile. Very nice lady.
Your exile, did you want to talk about that in open session or closed session?
Yes, my exile, I can talk about this in open session.
Okay, yeah.
And so about Son, let's go to Son, back Son. I was in a police compound at that time. I was like just a messenger. I lived in avec Samuel Salet, most of the time, who drove me. Samuel, or he called me or somebody from upstairs, whether I call them coordinators, those who took over the country, had said we had to go somewhere, either to Montfleury, a store somewhere, in another store. And when I was on the compound, facing with my back to the police cells, the castle, I did not see Son. I went into the car. We always went with S1, I think, to go shopping here, shopping there, and whatever. Avec Mrs. Saled, his soul rest in peace. And then we, in the car, facing the Anglican church, there I saw Son. I saw Son first.
Walking into the police station.
No, he stood there where he was.
I was just standing by the entrance. Mm.
Son had such a beautiful voice. He could sing in the opera. He had I cannot say he had a loud voice. He has a beautiful voice. He had a beautiful voice. And he was talking. What I remember, he said, I say it in Creole, l'amour là, zo type haut de moi, l'amour là. Vraiment, il type avec son âme, comme ça. Il took what avec son âme. Son always spoke what he thought. He was open. I saw him, and then the driver drove towards could Madame Montcalm, qui est Madame Montcalm, tu restais? Could la boutique bête, après, je ne sais pas comment il appelé là. There, I saw Philippe Dauphin. I remember Son was wearing a white shirt and like if I can so khaki or something, but so my chemise blanc. This I can still remember, but later I because le mon côté, on voit Philippe Dauphin, de sa côté montagne, Saint-Louis. Il y a un fusil dans les bras, mon quoi, là, mon pour cause là, on quelque fois, mais il y a un fusil dans la main. Il est en possession d'un fusil. We went past him, and the car turned left. Nous passions arriver à côté de Deltel, longtemps de Hazamiot. Non, Deltel, c'est là. Deltel, c'est là. There was a shot. When we came back, then I knew Tata Son is not there anymore. That devastated us, especially my mom, also. My mom always said, after the Mothers' Union session on Fridays, Tata Son always gave them a little drink, a little something. And she always, when Son died, she always remembered what, because, yeah. And this also, because my mom talked about this always, and it keeps this memory, it keeps this memory fresh on something if you are reminded most of the time. Yeah, I saw him. One of the families who saw him last.
Ça, tu arrives d'accord de garde ou bien de haut de garde?
Mr. Green, sorry, was away, but after the flight or before.
Mr. Green, il demande aussi quand tu vois un autre d'encore de garde ou bien
Yeah.
Deo.
Mr. Green, thank you. Comme là, là, present, il y a des petits lacages. Un petit lacage, là, une fête, tu n'as pas ça, là, son petit gars est tapé. C'est mon imagine bien. L'autodocteur Ferrari, tu ne parles là.
C'est un petit peu pound dans la rentrée.
Oui, la rentrée, côté l'Ostend. là qui m'ont allé, si n'a pas entré par la porte avant, it's possible, moi pas connaître. Puisqu'il a aussi la porte là. Là où pour monter Saint-Louis, il y a la porte.
Oui, oui.
Vous ça la porte Saint-Louis. Il y a l'autre la porte qui vient côté gagner son assassination. Yeah. Si mon pas trompé, if I still remember right, the bullet went into Dr. Ferrer's car. Am I right or wrong?
One of them did, yes.
Ça tourne à l'auto, I can still see it until today. Si il y a des gens qui mettent là dans la campagne, ils disent pas si c'est passe là-bas ou whatever, entrer là, I don't know. But son, this is very important to note. Son, tu n'as pas de la main en l'air, ou bien son la main est-il tout le temps vide. Son, tu peux causer, il habite causer avec son la main. He was a lively person. Moi personnellement, mon pas nous à son avec aucun. It's all the whole of it.
Okay.
Frida Ford mentioned Kimoti, she was in my appelé de mon département to go shopping or whatever, or manger ici, manger là-bas. I cannot remember if she was there, but it was nice to see her. Frida, greetings.
Mais raconte-nous un petit peu le temps où tu es en exil, présent là.
En exil?
Comment tu passais? Well, où tu es en l'Angleterre.
No, I did not go to
I
England.
mean, Germany, sorry.
And permit, that's a long story, but I want to talk about this, the court guard law.
Okay.
We were there. Frida said she helped, and so one thing is, sorry. I personally take it as one of the duties I did when I was in the police on that time of the coup d'etat. I did a human duty. God, you mean quoi? There were foreigners in the, not foreigners, police, the commissioner, acting commissioner of police, I think.
Mm-hmm.
One of them were in the police cell. They were arrested.
Yeah, they all got locked up. Yeah. And the Chief Justice.
I went for food. What's in the Chief Justice, Madam Davis? I went for food for them the Pirate Arms. À propos, Pirate Arms, c'est un démon qui tient tout le temps dish out, moi, c'est réuni. Et mon child says, someone was avec Samuel. When at the Pirate Arms, there was one person, only one person who dished out Rene's food. When I and Samuel went for his food. That's one thing. And for the expatriates, we call them, they were humans working for us. They were in police custody, so those things. I went for their food, and one day, I don't know how many days, after how many days, the acting commissioner of police, or one, I think it was him, he said to me, can you go to the British Embassy to tell them they want to have an audience, they want to have an audience? And I said to him, what shall I say? I said, but please do write. Better you write, and I'll do it. I would gladly do it. And he said, but with what can I write? I said, okay, you get some paper, some pen. I don't have paper. I said, I served you your food with a serviette. Just write your wish on the serviette. He wrote it. Pareil, nous grand monde longtemps, bonne madame. On plie mon petit papier. I went, I stuck it here, somewhere. I went, my legs were, my legs could not move, but I did. I went to the embassy, I could tell my gym, oh, it's still there, no? I opened the door, and there was, I don't know if it was the women's secretary or the men's secretary, what I still have in my mind. There were chest of drawers, metal, I think, at that time. I just said good morning to that lady, and I said, this is a message for you or something. I just walked out. And a few days later, they had an audience and they were released. And they went home, or it was on the news that they were released. I don't know. That was for me a duty. Humanity.
Combien de temps tiens après qu'ils ont libéré depuis prison
Yeah, because
jusqu'à
before I went to exile, I had to stay in Seychelles to fight for the little house I built as a young woman. Don left in March, and I left in December 80. I'm living in Germany more than in Seychelles. And thank you again to the help of Mr. Eichler. I hope his children hears this. Your father did a lot for the people of Seychelles. He did, among people he helped me out. Cannot say you're going in exile when you have all your documents. There's one airport. How can you say this?
For the record, Eichler, was he the German consul?
Yes. And he sent all the papers through diplomatic bag. Some he sent to my brother in Crayfield. He's an ex-army officer. Harry, thank you.
And what sort of status did they give you in Germany? Did they give you political?
When I went to Germany, he sent all the papers to the family where I lived. And then the next day we went to the immigration office for foreigners or whatever it was called. Not the next day, on the Monday we went there. And I did not have to stay on asylum seekers department or places or home. I stayed with them. And then I went to, straight away, I had somebody I'm going to say thank you also. I hope they are still alive. Father James and Dorothy. They helped us financially. And give something for Dawn. Yeah, and then I stayed with the family there first time, and then later I moved out because the person I lived with got sick, the woman got sick or lived out. Yeah. And who will say it's easy? You live in your home with a few things. One thing I took home was one of the can he made tea lelada pirates arms, milk can in metal from pirates arms. I went to Pontité pour aider. I saw Béranger once. He was in Seychelles. Served him some tea. I took one of these small cans as a souvenir.
In Germany, you were given political asylum? No.
It lasted a long time, and there was a lot of anxiety or whatever you can call it. Until then, later I was given a stipendium to learn German, 6 months, and then I met my ex-husband, and I got married. I was advised by youth department to be careful, to be really, to do everything, you know, you are safe in all ways, because in Seychelles, the country was not in peace, even there was a democratic government, or democracy. At the time of Danifon, there had not been democracy. If there was democracy, people would not say a commission is telenovela anyway. I struggled. As I say to you, you can move mountains in life if you want to. I was very, very sick. I weighed only 38 kilos. The doctors searched and searched what was wrong with me. My relatives were crying. I said to them, the time to cry, I decide when to cry. Don't cry. Please don't cry. If I'm allowed to say this here, I will say, this time I came to Seychelles. I'm here. It's really moving. Something else. My niece Michelle, Anakura, wish you were here. Died accidentally on Davos Island. 30 minutes before she died, we spoke on the WhatsApp, and she, for instance, started to cry, Auntie, but you said don't cry. I said, Michelle, why do you cry? I'm sick, you're not sick. The time to start crying. I said, yeah, I cannot. I cannot go anymore. Then I will say, you start to cry, we will cry together, because crying does, come, let us mourn, is cry. You cry, you support each other. And then I went to a flower shop. I wanted to buy some plants to plant where I live, in a block of flats. It does not belong to me. I came back home, and thank you, my dear son, Don. Son Don stayed with me nearly 6 months. He carried me to the toilet. He did this, he did that. Thank you. When I came back, he told me Michelle is dead. And these two things today, why I'm emotional, more emotional coming back home. Since I've been cabinet, I don't know where home is.
Since you left in 1980,
yes,
have you been back?
I came back, Madam Chair, Madam Purvis, because my Munjumuti, I believe, he soon made fermentation in a bottle. It will happen. It happened. I came back 6 years after the Berlin Wall.
That was the first time you came back after you'd left. Okay.
People, they walked 6 years after the Berlin Wall fell.
When was that again? Remind me. Huh?
This is something I was waiting for as well.
Okay.
People in cars or whatever, they walked behind me, they followed me, they did this and that. But
wait, when you came in 91, you felt you were being followed still?
Yeah.
You did you have any problems at the airport when you came?
At the airport, that was a sensation, Madame Purvis, I had forgotten. There was Bishop French, there was Madame Pilet, there were so many people greeting me. A bit of fear they had, I might not be allowed to step down because it happened to 1 or 2 people.
Did you say you came back in 91 or a certain number of years after?
Actually, to be precise, when I came here, I got married in Germany. I have a son, he's about 38 or something. Before he went to school, I came here. That was after the Berlin, some years after the Berlin Wall. I took the Sakuras pour mon tourner.
So après qui nous tin move to the multi-party system.
Madame Purvis, merci beaucoup.
Monsieur Montcalm tin retourner tout ça là.
Mais mon rappel, M. Montcalm tu retournes. M. Montcalm tu retournes aussi history pour bonne famille d'accord. Mon frère, tu descends avec M. Montcalm, mon quoi.
Ou frère qui descend ensemble avec lui.
Mon
Ou
quoi?
tin fini retourner comme si première visite que tu fais après 1980 ou bien.
I cannot, this you can go back and find out, but I came, the Berlin Wall is more main,
Ah, ok.
ça, pour qui me rappelle.
Oui.
Mais China, ça multi-party system, people were talking about it, it was on paper maybe, it was a practice.
Okay, should we move to closed session now? Yeah.
Puis on the 4th of, by the 4th or 5th, les motifs de travail, la police, à cause, I slept at Beluni on that night, 4th or 5th, and then going back home, I saw a white car, the police, stopped abrupt. Ogilvy Bell, which did hello to because he was in uniform, he was a driver. I remember he had a gun between Solar's arm. And he said to me, "Go to Pialo, but turning in a curfew no Pewodu." And actually I said she was picked up from home. Because I was friend with Woody Marie, I can mention his name maybe, the public knows. Illegally car also. They told me there was going to be one of the leaders. I said, who Timo? You can do more Pacapil. Paca design Timo. There's going to be a petit anniversaire pour N. Albert René pour une pas un petit bois, Madame Purvis, Madame Commission, des bois, non, mais not dans le fridge. Dans les quantités mangées, la viande, ou whatever, légumes. Mon motif, dans mes belons, du coup, mon maman, mon petit, my child stayed most of the time avec my mom. He was in school, St. Therese. Even if I was at Onsoaya.
Ça, c'est l'état coup d'état, ça?
Yeah, 4th to the 5th.
Ah, ok.
Oui, dis-moi, dis-moi la coup d'état, là, l'anniversaire, là. Et tu es mon Belloni. Nous qu'on l'arrive à Belloni, quand c'est souillable, tu restes longtemps? Le contour, là, le pont. Là, vraiment, parce que c'est le cas bout d'avoir un pont. Vous allez dire, moi, ça montre un choc. Pas de choc. If it's this way, then, descend nous besoin de travail. We're going to work on it. And if it's this way, then I have to go back. Because my mom lives at l'école Benoli, longtemps. Dominique Savio, qui a écrasé pour non rien. Quand l'église catholique, where the Catholic Church was, there was always a school. The Catholic Church did a lot for the education of the people of Seychelles. Pareil, qui donne l'école pour non rien, aux autres seigneurs. Assez de livres de nos fondateurs qui nous fait nous. Ah, une autre question, moi, pour moi déborder encore, mais c'est mon magazine, ça. Don't tell me that Albert René gave us free everything or whatever. We turned la côte à l'école. Évidemment, we turned, mon maman c'est un petit peu en bas à l'école. I told them, he put the radio on, je t'en connais qui est arrivé. And I went to the police station, the police station, and a guard. Later I knew that these police people were there they had duty, they were on duties, but they did the particular release, particular de la cour. I know some people were in Paris to go to could Radio Cecil, they said some days there, give me out to put on curfew or whatever. Anyway. Yeah, I forgot where I was now. But at the police station, yeah, tena guard dans l'uniforme, après tena un bon petit monde qui, later, mon remarque, bon, qui tu peux pas d'un coup d'état. There was a lot of movement of people who do not belong to the police compound. Okay. When I mon côte mon resté, mon resté dans côte Cogat Estate. C'était une fille qui travaillait avec moi, qui a couru. Je me demandais comment il y a quand c'était pétard hier soir. Le petit qu'on est qui ça. They did not know what that. There were some pour demander lesquels il paraît comme s'il y avait une invasion dans mon la case, mon quartier. Who was there apart from ta fille qui était contre la case? C'était l'autre madame. Je ne sais pas nom de personne. On parlait à qui dit monde ou de qui connaît pas dit lui-même. Ça par exemple les qui ti couille manger à cause premier des jours, il y a premier 3 jours à berlin dans mon casserole. Il y en a assez mangé là pour les manger des jours, 3 jours, on va connaître. Après comment ça se mange par Richards pour lui. You comprends? You've got this space, right? Yeah?
Nous capables présent move to closed session?
Pardon?
Nous capables présent move to closed
Yeah,
session?
if you have enough information,
know,
especially about my special information qui
Suffisamment.
concerne mon
Oui.
my identity which has been taken away from me.
Yeah, we understand. Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So we will adjourn and we will resume immediately in closed session.